Alright, hey everybody. So we're gonna try recording this again. I got all the way through recording this earlier and there was no sound on my part. So take two. Okay, Trump meets El Salvador president. I think President Bukele is his name. So I'm reacting to Asmongold TV. So let's hear what he has to say.
Can President Bukele weigh in on this? Do you plan to return him?
Well, I'm supposed you're not suggesting that I smuggle a terrorist into the United States, right? They told me.
What did he say?
So it was a reporter, and they were asking President Bukele if he was going to release the prisoner back into the United States again, and he said, "What do you want me to do? Smuggle the criminal back into the United States?"
He says, I hope you're not suggesting that I should smuggle a terrorist back into the United States. Listen.
Can President Bukele weigh in on this? Do you plan to return him?
Well, I'm supposed you're not suggesting that I smuggle a terrorist into the United States, right? They told me.
That is so based. Like, dude.
How can I return him to the United States? Like, I smuggle him into the United States?
Common sense. Common sense,
of course,
man.
I'm not going to do it.
Of course.
How do we get here? That's crazy, bro. Like, yeah, this is common sense. Bro, we are so back.
I knew him as a very young man. Now he's just a young man. And he's done a fantastic job. Mr. President, it's an honor to have you.
Thank you.
You're doing incredibly
Content president, that's right.
And we appreciate working with you because you want to stop crime, and so do we. And it's
yeah,
very,
he's done a
effective,
really
and
good job with
El
Salvador. So I guess that was like a really dangerous country not too long ago, and I think his people really like him.
Of El Salvador.
He's really cleaned up El Salvador.
They have one hell of a president.
Yeah.
Okay, and I mean that. And
Well, they love him over there. Like, this dude's approval ratings in El Salvador are through the fucking roof.
Yeah.
Like, they love him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know him as a very young man, Marco. Even younger than you. You know, he started pretty young.
Little Marco.
He'll always be younger.
Yeah.
Young at heart. But I want to thank you for the great job you're doing. I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Well, it's an honor to be here in the Oval Office with the President and leader of the free world. We're very happy, and we're very eager to help. We know that
That's right.
We have a crime problem, a terrorism problem that you need help with.
Yep.
Yeah, he's the guy to
And
do
we're
it.
a small country, but if we can help, we will do it. And we actually turned the murder capital of the world.
Yeah.
That was the journalist.
That's what's crazy is that, like, 10 years ago, I would always use El Salvador as an example for a PvP server. And then this guy came in and just flipped the script.
Yeah. He's done amazing things over there, and if he can do that with El Salvador, he can definitely help the U.S.
Right. Murder capital of the world into the safest country in the Western Hemisphere.
It's impressive, it is.
And you know, sometimes they say that we imprisoned thousands. I like to say that we actually liberated millions.
Yep.
He didn't imprison thousands, he liberated millions. This is absolutely fucking true.
And isn't that amazing? You take a criminal off the streets, and the streets are safe.
Is that you have a handful of parasites that cause all of the problems, and then after you get rid of them, then the problems go away.
Yeah.
And so, like, basically you get rid of all the people that are killing other people and selling drugs and stealing things, and then everything gets better for everybody else. It's actually a pretty simple solution. And it's crazy how easy it is to make it work. And the problem, I think, is that in America, it's viewed as a bad thing. But the truth is that you're not doing the people there any favors by letting them get terrorized by these psychos. And I think that's the worst part about it, is that you have these, you know, I think these are people living in gated communities that have, like, these high-minded ideals of, like, oh, let's defund the police. These are the people that need the police the most.
Right.
So, you know, like,
It's very good. Who gave him that line? Do you think I can use that?
and in fact, Mr. President, you have 350 million people to liberate. But to liberate 350 million people, you have to imprison some.
Yeah.
That's the way it works, right? You cannot just free the criminals and think crime's going to go down.
Yeah, I mean, that's unfortunate. I mean, you have these people, they have free will. They're able to do whatever they want to do, and that's what they choose to do with their lives. And they're not just criminals, they're repeat offenders. A lot of these illegal immigrants. That's how they know there's so many here. I mean, they know from the ones that they've caught so far, but they literally know who they're looking for a lot of the times, because these are people who have been documented, who have been captured and released. All right? They have free will. They're choosing to do these things, right? They're choosing not to follow the law. They're choosing to cause chaos and to hurt people. You remove them from the streets, and the streets get safer. It's just that simple.
Down magically. You have to imprison them so you can liberate 350 million Americans that are asking for
Exactly.
the end of crime and the end of terrorism. And it can be done. I mean,
He's completely
you're doing
right.
it already. And I'm sure that people have seen the change in the streets. A long way to go, because you're just initiating your second term. But it's clear that with the numbers at the border, when even in Democrat-run cities, they get a help from the work you're doing. So I'm really happy to be here, honored, and eager to help.
Well, we had a terrible thing happen. We had an administration that allowed people to come in freely into our
What?
country from not only South America, but from all
Sounds
over
like an
the
owl.
world. Many
Who?
from the Congo and
Who?
Africa, Asia,
Who could
all
that
over
have
the
been?
world, Europe,
Who
rough
could that
parts
have
of
been?
Europe. And they came from prisons, and they came from mental institutions, and they came
do
from
that?
Tell us
the
again.
gangs and
Tell
the
us
gangs
again
of
who that
Venezuela
was.
and other places. And hundreds of thousands and even
Sounds
millions
pretty bad.
of them came. 21 million people altogether, but many of the people that came, just a tremendous percentage of them were criminals, in some cases violent criminals. We had 11,088 known murderers, half of them murdered
11,088 known.
more than one person. This was allowed by a man
Who?
what he did
There's
to our
that owl
country
again.
is just unbelievable. So we're straightening it out. We're getting them out. But what they did and what that party did to our country, open borders, anybody could come in. As soon as I heard that, I said, every prison's going to be emptied out into our country. That's what happened. And we're straightening it out. And
Thank
we just
God.
had numbers. We had the highest recruiting numbers in the history of our country going into police departments. And a year ago, we had the lowest.
Fucking obviously. It's the same reason as the military. Who the fuck wants to serve and be a professional cuck? People that want to be police officers want to. Some of them are just assholes, of course. But many of them want to do a good thing. Why the fuck would you want to go and be a
I think that I would take this one step further. Hot take. But I think this also goes for teachers.
police officer if you're just going to get cucked with everything?
Yep.
Numbers. You couldn't hire a
Biggest
police.
change.
Yeah.
Nobody's
From
ever
the
seen.
lowest to the highest.
And the military now, Marines, the Army, Air Force, Coast Guard, every slot is, I mean, we have the best numbers we've ever had. We call it recruitment numbers. And we've never had anything like it. We had records on at every single level.
Yeah, as a military
But
too.
very important, the policemen. The policemen are joining
Yeah.
forces now.
They're vital.
We're having a hard time
Absolutely
with
vital.
policemen because we weren't protecting our.
And these people that you hear about in these gated communities who are talking this nonsense about defund the police, they even will need the police sometimes in their life. They will need the police too sometimes. And the way that they would scream and the way that they would carry on if there were no police to do their bidding. Like, it's easy for them to say. And you know who else doesn't want police? You know who else? You got the Karens on one side, and they're in every facet of society. The gated communities, every facet. And then you've got the lowest rung. You got the drug dealers, and you got the criminals. But they don't want police for another reason.
Police.
Yeah.
And we cherish our police. The police are great, and the firemen and everybody else.
Absolutely.
But we have the highest
Yep.
numbers that we've ever had. The most.
And who are they virtue signaling to? Right? When they say that they want to defund the police, are they virtue signaling to the criminals? Or are they virtue signaling to each other?
Most
Do you know who hates the police? White liberals that live in gated communities.
Says we great enthusiasm and on trade and other things. We're doing great. We're taking in billions and billions of dollars.
Karens.
We made 2 weeks ago. I gave them a little bit of a pause because you have to show a little flexibility. We go back to what we have to do. The markets have been very strong once they got used to it, but we were losing $2 billion a day.
Yikes.
There's no company big like this. This is the biggest deal ever made. Now we're making $3 billion a day.
Oh.
What?
We're a great country,
When
but
do
we
I
had
get it?
stupid people
Chuck,
running this
right?
country, and I can say it. But what they've done to us at the border should never and can never be forgotten. It's a sin what they did, and you are helping us out, and we appreciate it.
Thanks.
That's right. That's right.
Actually, what you're doing with
I wonder how these people. I wonder how their tunes would change. These people who want all of the illegal immigrants. And don't get it wrong. I'm not against immigration, like legal immigration, law-abiding immigrants. I'm talking about, the criminals and the bad ones, right? How would all these people, how would their tunes change if the illegals, if the criminals that a lot of us regular Americans are dealing with and are walking past in Walmart and on the streets, how would those really gated community, high society folks that don't see any of this happening, how would they react to all this if they walked outside their house, their big mansions and stuff, and they saw all these people camping out on their street, on their corner, in their front yards, right? Staying in the hotels down their street and shopping in their stores, right? Stealing things out of their stores and out of their yards, right? Making their daughters feel unsafe going to school. I wonder how it would change then.
with the border is remarkable. It has dropped, what, 95%? It's incredible.
It's been more than that.
As of this morning, 99%, 99.1% to be exact.
Why are those numbers not in the media?
Yeah, no, because it was there were apparently 11,000 people that got in, I think it was in February. And then last year, and then this year it was one person got in. Honestly,
wow.
I feel like if you can get in and you can outmaneuver the military and you can get across, I feel like you probably should just get citizenship. At this point, that's impressive to me.
Like an Xbox achievement.
It is.
Unlocked.
That's impressive. Yeah, you deserve at least you get a green card for a while, right?
Oh my gosh.
One, that's amazing. Yeah, that's impressive. Yeah,
Yeah, no. It's impressive for sure. And they should get an achievement unlocked, maybe a trophy, but then they should still get shipped the fuck out.
Kashi Castle, exactly.
Oh, let
I got a
me skip
Matsado
this
knife,
ad.
and what followed
Hold
was
on.
an absolute fiasco. So I almost made the dumbest mistake.
Skip.
Well, they get out with the fake news, like CNN over here doesn't want to put them out because they don't like putting out good numbers. They only like putting out because I think they hate our country actually. But it's
He says it. And he just pauses and looks at him and smiles. Yeah, hear that?
It's a shame. You're right. Isn't that a great question? Why doesn't the media? Why don't they put out numbers?
Yeah, 99%. I mean, it's crazy, right?
We're doing
It's
great.
a crazy turnaround.
Christy, could you maybe say a couple of words about the border? How we're doing?
It's just been absolutely phenomenal what a great leader can do. Clear direction. Our laws matter. We should only have people in our country that love us, and the Border Patrol and our ICE officers and law enforcement officers have done fantastic work. So we're proud of them. Now we just need to get the criminals and murderers and rapists and dangerous gang members and terrorist organizations out of our country. So, Mr. President Bukele, we thank you very much for your partnership. It has been wonderful for us to be able to have somewhere to send the worst of the worst and someone to partner with.
That's right. We send them to super jail.
We'd like to continue that partnership because it's been a powerful message of consequences. Mr. President, you wanted people to...
You know, I've never heard, what is President Bukele getting out of this? Like, besides the prisoners he's taking in, like, I'm just kind of curious. Like, I think it's really cool that he's helping out and everything. I don't think there's anything wrong with him getting compensation for what he's doing. I think he deserves compensation, honestly. But I haven't heard anyone talk about, like, what he's getting as compensation. He's probably getting money, honestly. Like, you know how schools will get funded based on their head count? He probably gets money for how many people he takes in.
Know that there was consequences if you break our laws and harm our people and endanger families, and this is a clear consequence. For
See, that's what I was saying, is that if you know that you're being sent to super jail if you fuck around, I guarantee you there's going to be less people that want to fuck around.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who will commit crimes just because they see other people getting away with it. And as soon as, you know, there are consequences, a lot of people are deterred.
Yeah, literally, who doesn't want to deport these people? People that never have to live with the consequences of not deporting them. That's the answer.
Yeah.
It's a luxury position that's held by people that never have to be held accountable for it.
Exactly. That's what I was saying. Luxury until, you know, until it's on your street corner, right?
To the worst, that we have somewhere to put them.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we even had this gang member from Venezuela, one of the ones you sent, and we interviewed him just, you know, to get some information, etc. from them. And he said, oh, well, you know, I got arrested 6 times, but they released me the 6 times, so I should be released again. And then we said, well, what's the last thing you do? And he said, well, I shot a cop in the leg, but I did.
Dude, like, why do you have catch and release for people like this? You're arrested 6 times and released 6 times. What? What the heck?
What?
Yeah, what?
I didn't kill him. I just shot him in the leg.
Just shot him
why
in
do
the
they
leg.
have me in jail, bro? He's not even dead. What's this uptight shit?
And we're like, this guy was arrested 6 times here in the United States. 6 times.
6
He
times.
was released 6 times, and in the he was released 5 times, and the last time he was sent to El Salvador, right? So he's not getting a release. But the last time he shot a cop, actually, and he shot him in the leg. So these are.
Gee, guys, I wonder why people don't want to join the police force. Well, I don't know. Maybe people don't like being they don't want to sign up to be a target dummy.
Like you said, yeah, there's something broken.
It's the liberal establishment, but they're not running things anymore in this country, and we're run by, and I don't say conservative, I don't say anything, we're run by people with great common sense.
Yeah, common sense.
Yeah.
Because it's all common sense.
Yeah,
it's not
that's what
liberal
you need.
conservative, it's common sense.
Yeah, you shouldn't divide people. Everybody, I don't care what party, politically, what ideology you want to follow, like common sense. Like everybody should practice common sense. They can squabble about ideals and, you know, clean energy and whether or not we should build charging stations and wind power and things like that, save the environment. But whether or not we should allow people to break the law and not go to jail, that's not even something we need to argue about. That's just common sense. Like everyone should just agree on some things. That's I don't know.
Exactly.
Like, do you allow men to play in women's sports?
Yep.
Do you allow men to box?
There's a good question. common
your women
sense.
and box? Because I know you have a lot of
That's
boxing. in your
that's
country.
violence.
That's violence. Do you allow men to box your women? That's a good way to put it. Yep. It's not about trans rights. It's not about transphobia. It's just about it's about common sense.
That's
Abuse of a
violence
woman.
against women.
It's
Yeah,
abuse of a
totally.
woman.
Cuz it's okay, it's not about whether or not the man feels like a woman. It's about biologically what he has been equipped with, what he was born with. And I'm not talking about what he may have had surgery to alter. I'm talking about dude's arm muscles and leg muscles are bigger and stronger. You know, there might be outlying examples where that's not true, but I can guarantee you if you put a man, like a regular man, and you put a regular woman up in front of each other, I don't care whether they're trans or not trans. I'm talking about biologically he was born a male, biologically she was born a female. And she punches him, right? Okay, he got punched. But if he punches her, she's going to hit the floor, and that's going to be some damage. And that's why you can't have them competing with each other, right? You can't have them wrestling each other. You can't have them boxing each other. You can't have them playing basketball against each other. They're going to throw harder. They're going to hit harder. Dude, it's just not right.
But we have people that fight to the
Yeah, it's violence against women. Exactly, it is. It's so obvious. Duh. Fucking duh.
Yeah,
Of course.
common sense, man.
death because they think men should be able to play in women's sports.
And like, okay, I just have to say this, and I know there's gonna be some people who don't agree, but honestly, I really don't care. Like, this is just common sense. This is just a fact, whether you want to hear it or not. Okay? These things are true, 100% true. Even if you don't want them to be, they are. And one thing is able to be true, while another thing you may wish wasn't true. It doesn't make it less true just because you wish it not to be true. And that doesn't make you a hater or a phobic or a discriminator of any kind for stating a fact. Okay, that doesn't make me a hater. And that doesn't mean I want anyone to disappear, right? So a solution, if you have trans people who do not want to compete with the gender that they were born into, there has to be another solution. I'm not saying to make them disappear, and I'm not saying to make them compete with, I'm mostly talking about trans men, trans women, men who transitioned into a woman competing with biological women here, because you don't really see trans women, trans men. It's all confusing. Women who transferred into a man. You don't see them really competing in men's sports. You just see the men competing in the women's sports. So I'm basically just referring to them, but really, this could go for both sides. Why can't there be some solution that helps out everyone? Why can't there be sports just for trans people? Right? They're a little bit bigger, they're a little bit more robust, but they don't feel like a man, they don't want to compete with the men, but they obviously cannot compete with the women, so why can't they have their own division? Okay? Just saying.
Some of those sports, it wouldn't
No,
matter.
you're right. He is really orange today. Yeah, bro, he got it on thick today.
Dude, I saw the other day about his skin color. I think I was watching Nuxanor, another YouTuber. I'm pretty sure, but I'm not completely sure. Anyways, he was showing two of the exact same interviews of Trump. One was showed on CNN, and he was really orange, and the same interview was shown on Fox. And he just had a normal skin color. So I think it depends on who's showing it, honestly. They're like CNN's playing that up. He's Orange Man.
But it's still not.
He used the whole Cheeto bag.
He rolled in it.
Some of
He
them
rolled
are
in the
very
crumbs.
dangerous.
Some years ago,
JD did a good job.
like we said, a decade ago or so, women rights movements were pressuring so that
Yeah.
we enacted specific laws to avoid men abusing women. And I think those laws were great because there were a lot of men abusing women.
I think that like the language of it not being about like sports or equality, but it just being about women being abused. I think this is another example of how I feel like one thing that I really like about him and also Trump is that, and JD Vance and like a lot of the people here, is that they're co-opting the emotional manipulation and they're using it in their benefit. Because like that's really what it is. And a lot of these positions that these people have are totally built on emotional blackmail and manipulation and implication of like you're a bad person or something like that. And so as soon as you break that and you can counter that with something that's equivalent, it immediately falls apart. And
Yep.
that's why the support for these positions
That's
have
true.
fallen off a cliff.
That's true.
It's because the emotional upper hand has been lost. And that was the only reason that people ever held the position to begin with. Everybody knows this is retarded, but if they can feel good about themselves saying it, they'll do it anyway.
I think there's a lot of people who wish it wasn't retarded, though. I think there's a lot of people who like they really like delude themselves into thinking that if they just, believe it hard enough and don't think enough, that it will become true, but it's not true.
Some of the same people are trying to backtrack on that and actually trying to make new laws allowing men to abuse women in sports.
Yeah.
So actually, that doesn't
do
make
it in
sense.
sports.
It doesn't make sense.
It's crazy. You know, they have weightlifting records, right?
Yeah.
A woman gets up and swings. She's incredible. A guy gets up and beats her by 100 pounds. What are you going to do? A record that hadn't been broken in 18 years.
I wonder
You know,
why.
they put on an ounce, quarter of an ounce, eighth of an ounce for 18 years. Now they have a guy come up, ping. The whole thing is crazy. But they continue to fight. And I don't like talking about it because I want to save it for just before the next election. I said, my people, don't even talk about it because they'll change. And
Yeah.
we'll have but I watched this morning, there was a congressman.
No, I think that there are a lot of people it's like it's like a flat earth position where like if you think that like men should compete against women in sports, you're like disqualified because you're not in reality. It's like a reality benchmark check that you fail.
Right.
Fighting to the
It's a
death
refusal
for men.
to
Like
see reality.
that's how I see it, right? Is like if a person believes that, this person is not using logic to come to conclusions.
Right. You can't say that you're making a logical argument when you're literally not using logic to make your argument. You're deluding yourself from logic.
So I can't trust them to make decisions. It's the same with flat earth.
To play against women in sports. And you say to yourself, why? What are they doing, right? What are they doing? But your country's not too big in that.
No,
Bro, have you looked at the reality of your argument? Have you listened to John Oliver talk about this?
Okay, sometimes Asmongold will like pick people out in the comments and he'll try to answer them to the best of his ability. And it's really interesting, but I think we're going to skip forward a little bit. Yeah, get back into this.
And that's bad.
We missed something.
Think about it.
What's bad?
You think the average 16-year-old boy isn't stronger than the average 16-year-old female? No. I think that at peak strength, I bet the strongest 16-year-old males are stronger than any female in the world. You already got power crept at that point. You're done. Because that's biology. And it's the same with a lion or a tiger.
And
Like-
you have outliers for sure. Like, I've seen it. You know, you could have like a really scrawny guy and you could have like a really, really strong woman. But like those are outliers. That's like a small, small portion of the population. And you cannot make rules based on a small portion of the population. That's just not fair, you know?
You can be as strong as you want, but you're never going to be as strong as a lion that's not even trying. You'd be the biggest dude in the world, and the lion going to be like, not going to give a fuck.
Yeah.
Because it's a fucking lion. It's different.
Well, I think a good example of this is like if you have bodybuilders. So instead of going to one end of the extreme and saying a really weak male and a really strong female, well, the female could beat the male. Okay, maybe, you know. But we're talking about like if you have just regular people, men are most likely going to beat out women. So as a good example, if you even have like peak people, right? You have a bodybuilding male and a bodybuilding female. Who's going to win? Every time the male is going to be bigger than the female. Every time. Right? Because a male is born with more muscle mass. So a female, you know, a female bodybuilder is going to have more muscle mass than the average woman. Right? She's going to have way more than the average woman. And the male bodybuilder is going to have way more than the average male. And right next to each other, he's going to be way bigger than she is. Right? He's just bigger.
There are exceptions, but there's not. This is the logic. So, how many fingers are people born with?
This is a good example. This is what I mean.
10. We all know it's 10. Everybody knows. You want to say 8 and 2 thumbs, real cute. At the end of the day,
you can't make gloves.
There will always be
with 20
extreme,
fingers, right?
Radical, medical, events.
Exactly.
But this is not the norm. This is not the way it usually is. You don't make decisions based off of that. You don't make decisions based off, well, there's some people that have 9 fingers, so let's make a controller for people with 9 fingers. Nothing works that way.
Right.
Just stupid as fuck.
This is how to get in shape fast.
If you want to drop this, start eating more of these. You might think.
No, of course, we're big in protecting women.
Good. That's right. It's a very important form of protection, too.
And as you can see, most of my cabinet are women, so.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
That's why
And they're not DEI hires or anything. They're just
They're not DEI.
He says that the women that he has are not DEI hires.
That's funny.
Yeah, exactly.
They earned the
Like,
position, right?
of course. That's just how it is.
That's right. This is very impressive.
Yeah,
This
no,
is a first. We've had women, but we've never had 3 of them right here. That's
4 and 3
And
men.
look at what we have. You guys feel a little bit mistreated? That's good. I like it. We've been advanced. I've been very advanced in that regard too. We have Pam, who's been so fantastic. Christy, and the most powerful woman they see anywhere.
I know, exactly.
How can you listen? How can you listen to Trump talk to people like this, and just not think he's a nice guy? He just seems like a really likable guy.
They're all afraid of
Susie Wells, they say, oh, she's tough. Most powerful woman in the world, according to magazines. What do I know?
Yes.
But I think she probably is.
Yeah, she probably is.
Yeah, she probably is.
Congratulations.
And you know, Stephen, who's done such a great job. We have great
He's
people.
very famous.
Is that
now.
Baldy?
But we love working with him.
Oh my gosh,
Really lets him
his
have
chat,
it.
Yeah,
bald.
There's no games.
No. It's very good.
He knows. Do you have any questions, please?
President Trump.
Go, let's not start with CNN, 'cause it's-
Let's start with CNN. Oh my gosh, the way he just casually said that. Let's not start with CNN. No.
What?
Oh my gosh.
No. That's nice. Suck.
He just says what we're all thinking.
Do you have any questions, please?
President Trump.
Go, let's not start
Mr.
this
President.
again because it's so.
Oh my God, bro, Mr. President. Bro, 12 more years, guys.
Oh my
12 more
gosh.
years of this.
Oh my gosh. And on that note, I'm going to say goodnight. Bye.